All right, welcome to another Friday night in the episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and to my left, I believe, is Brian Damaged Forsythe of Kix, and a carnivore at heart. And we welcome you to another Friday. Is that pork belly, or is that just Brian's belly?
Just double cheeseburger belly.
Is that what you just finished, a double cheeseburger?
Double cheeseburger with bacon and egg on a chaffle. Yeah.
Oh,
I just posted it too. I think I posted it. Oh no, I didn't. I forgot to hit share.
well, hit share.
There, it's posted.
There you go. Yeah, I'm sure all the people who are seeing you with all that are going, but Brian, what's your cholesterol?
Yeah.
Because that's what our oldest son did last night when I was eating a ribeye. He goes, yeah, if you had your cholesterol test, aren't you worried about your cholesterol? I said, nope. He goes, well, why not? All you're doing, I see all you're doing is posting, all you're doing is you and mom are just eating meat. I go, that's correct. And, I was, before we got started here, I was breaking open one of our favorite books to go to, the Lies book by Dr. Barry, reading The Lie That Keeps Echoing Through Society even after it's been proven false. And
that's usually what I when people make those comments, either the cholesterol comment or the heart attack like clogged arteries comment and heart attack, I say I eat this way to prevent that. That's why I eat.
That's a great response.
Yeah.
That's a great response. And the other lie that I heard most of my life growing up, well, not my younger years, but in my older years, when the medical profession started to say this, and he talks about it here about, eggs are not good for you. You should only eat 1 or 2 eggs a week. And that lie it's still, you hear it from some people like, well, you eat way too many eggs. Like, do you not know eggs are the most nutrient balanced food you could put in your body? They're like the perfect food that your body craves.
Yeah.
And you should eat eggs every day. I mean, gosh, who was telling me the other day? Oh, no, it was Mary. I think it was from last week, who said that you have 2 raw eggs a day. You get your daily dosage of vitamin D by drinking 2 raw eggs a day.
Or at least the yolks, right?
At least the yolks, yeah. So, there's a lot to be said about eggs. And for those of you who are out there who constantly keep saying, well, the way you guys eat so expensive, I can't afford to eat that way. Let me just tell you, you can go to Aldi's and buy a dozen eggs for 49 cents. So you can buy 2 dozen eggs for $1 and have 2 eggs a day, or 2 eggs for every meal if you eat more than 1 meal. And trust me, show me where you can eat that cheap any other food group and be that full of nutrients for you.
Well, I found discovered this brand of eggs at Kroger. They have all the regular ones, and then they have the the organic pasture,
free range. Yes,
but they're always more expensive. They're like $6.99 or $5.99 or whatever they are.
Right.
But then I look further down. They're almost, well, here, I'll show you a carton real quick. I just bought these. They're from a local farm in Kentucky, and they're cheaper, like way cheaper. And look at these. They're like jumbo. They're huge. They're as big as duck eggs.
Wow. And how much were they?
I can't remember. I'd have to look on the receipt to see what I paid. But I know they're cheaper than the regular, like, large eggs,
Right.
Because I guess they're local. And they're free range on a pasture. No, all the stuff, But they're, jumbo eggs. And they're huge, but the yolks aren't as big as a duck egg, but the egg itself is huge. So that's what I've been buying to supplement, because I still buy the eggs from the farm too.
Right. But duck eggs are they're still slow? Because I know the farm I go to, there's hardly. I mean, they have them once in a while, but they're not producing until about another month, I guess, or when it gets colder.
Yeah, because I inquired last time I ordered some eggs, and she said, um, I said, are the ducks laying yet? And then she said, well, I do have two duck eggs right now. She goes, if you want to wait until they lay a few more. And I said, okay. And so I took the regular chicken eggs. And then today, I just reordered. And I said, how are those duck eggs coming? And she goes, unfortunately slow. So I'm just gonna have to hold out for a little bit more. But their regular chicken eggs are really good too.
Well, I those jumbo eggs you just got through showing us, that's about the size of the ones I get from the farm that we go. I pay $5 a dozen, and I pick them myself. I mean, they bring them fresh out of the coops or the fields or wherever they gather them up from.
Yeah, I think
And
those are less than five. I know that.
yeah,
I can't remember exactly.
but I have no problem paying $5 to support a local farm. But I mean, the size of the egg are they're pretty close to the duck size eggs. You know, the duck eggs you get I think six for $5 at this farm, and then you get 12 jumbo eggs in my opinion for $5. I just rather I go with I know there's more to the duck eggs than just the size, but
Yeah,
the chicken eggs are usually always there.
it's those luscious yolks. I love the duck egg yolks. Oh,
Yeah, and you say they're better in regards to when you um, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? When you cook them up. What is the word I'm trying to think of?
oh, poached.
Yes, thank you, poached. That's it. Thank you. Man, I was sitting there
Yeah,
scrambling, like, where is that word? Come on, brain work. Thanks, Brian. That's it. Poached. Yes.
yeah, they're much easier to poach because they're uh, sturdier. They don't just fall apart like a duck chicken
Chicken
egg.
egg. Right. Right. So how's your week been? So you cooked, you had a hamburger, a double cheeseburger with bacon tonight. So what some of the projects you've been cooking this week?
I did the pulled pork at one point. We finished off the pulled pork last night. Um, Ronnie's here, by the way, if anyone's wondering why I'm saying we. Ronnie's visiting, so I've been making these meals. And so last night there was like some leftover pulled pork, so I made pulled pork
Mm.
omelets.
So how did Ronnie like your pulled pork omelet?
Oh, he loved the pulled pork.
There you go. Yeah. Who?
But it was a combo, pulled pork and salmon, sockeye salmon. Like I cut it into cubes and threw it in with the pulled pork and fried it up and then poured the eggs in and the cheese and oh, it was good.
That's the yeah. Well, I tell you what, I got to thank you and for you people out there who watch the show or watch Brian's cooking channel. I did his pork belly, and let me just tell you that may be my new favorite. I may be the biggest fan of pork belly now because there's just so much to so many meals you get out of one pork belly. And so again, for those people who say keto is very expensive, I would say that's really what you're looking at. But I can tell you, you get yourself 2 dozen of eggs at Aldi's for $1 and some pork belly for 20. I paid $25 for my pork belly, and it was about 12 pounds. And I still have about this much left of it. So it's lasted me the whole week.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah, the last time I made a brisket, it lasted me more than a week. I finally had to just freeze the last of it because it was like, oh, I can't eat this another day in a row. But
how's your ribeye? How's your ribeye going? You broke the string of ribeyes in a row. The number of days you had ribeye.
yeah, but I still eat them like almost every other day. Yeah, in
Yeah,
fact, Ronnie and I went to the store. Not to, we went there today for some. Oh yeah, we got a couple things today. But the last time we went like shopping, I went by the meat counter and they had ribeyes for eight something a pound, like really cheap. And they were really nice looking, thicker ribeyes. And I was like, oh man. So I snatched up like four of them. And then we ate two of them the other night, and I have two more in the freezer. And I still have a stack of grass-fed ribeyes from Tennessee Grass-Fed Farms that I had ordered that I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm well stocked in the ribeyes.
I cannot. I've said this many times, but that's why I don't like to have a freezer full of meat, because when I go by a meat counter and I see a really good piece of ribeye, it's hard to pass up a really marble cut of ribeye. It's just like, oh, I gotta have that. That's gonna taste really good.
Well, today they had, oh man, they had this huge giant tomahawk steak in there, two of them, but it was like, I don't even know, maybe 4 inches thick. It was huge. And I was just like, oh, it looks so good. But I still have one in my freezer from the last time I bought tomahawks. I bought two and I only ate one. And I guess I haven't done an intense enough workout to justify eating that other. Or if I do, it's like it's still frozen. So, it's one of those things where you got to plan ahead for it. But
Well,
I love the tomahawks because they're always thick. I wish they would cut the ribeyes thicker like that.
yeah, that's. We used to have a butcher that you could cut the size of meat, whatever size you wanted.
I wonder.
Yeah,
I've never asked if they'll do that at Kroger. I wonder if they would.
I'm. I would bet if they. I mean, they have a real butcher department back there. I'm sure you could go back there and say, "Hey, can you cut me, about a 2 inch thick or ribeye back there?" I bet you they would do that.
And leave all the fat on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember um, when I was visiting my sister up in Maryland, and I'd shop at Wegmans, and
Mm,
they had a nice meat
they
department,
do. Yes.
and they would have the ribeyes in the case, but they'd be all trimmed up nice and pretty. But then at the top of the case, they'd have the big ribeye roast that they were cutting them from, the big chunk of meat.
Ooh.
And I, my brother-in-law and I would go in there to get some steaks, and we'd look at the ribeyes and they'd be okay, but then we'd see that big chunk and they had all the extra fat on the edges, and so we go, can we get a couple cut off of that and just leave all the fat on it? And we'd get like these big 2-incher steaks. Oh, they were so good.
Now you get me hungry. The what was I going to say? What was I going to say? It had to do with the meat counter. Um, I don't
getting
know.
getting something custom.
Wow, this travel days got me in La La Land or something. I've been
It's weird because since I started eating this way and doing the intermittent fasting and all that, my mind has become clearer and sharper. But this past week, I've had a couple days like you're having,
yeah,
where where
I'm
where
yeah.
a name will just go out of my head. Like I'll be talking, and the name will just go, and I'll go, I just can't think of it. It's like
Yeah.
the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I hate that. I mean, that's when you feel like you're really out of control. Like I know it's in there. I feel it. I know it. It just
And you,
won't spit it out for me.
and you just had it a second ago, and it said,
Poached. That's it. No, I'm kidding. No, but oh, I know. We used to get our bones from Wegmans. I used to we used to get our bones or to make broth from
oh, okay.
Wegmans, and that's where we get them before we moved out here and started getting them from local farms. Um, but you know, there's something about having a true butcher that you can go to and to see that meat and wow.
Did they just give you the bones, or do you
Oh
buy
no,
them?
I bought them. Yeah, yeah. I think it's amazing to me the beef bones. I want to say they were $3.49 a pound, $3.99 a pound for beef bones that we make beef broth out of. Um,
Well, the last bag of bones that I acquired was from the lady I get my chicken eggs or my eggs from. She always has extra stuff in the freezer. Uh, like pork. That's where I've like the pulled pork I just made, that Boston butt that I made came from that farm. And at one point I went there to pick up my eggs, and they had bags of bones inside the refrigerator door, and it said free for the taking. So I grabbed a big bag of bones, and they were like, I think they were pork bones. Yeah, because they had neck bones and all this other stuff mixed in, but it made a really good bone broth.
that's a good grab. We got lucky one year. The guy we bought the half a cow from a few years back when Peggy was going through trying to overcome her illness through food, and bone broth is one of the best ways really helped her out. And so we were always making bone broth, and so he knew that. So he called us up and he's like, "Hey Jim," he goes, "Are you still, making bone broth with your beef bones?" So I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you have a room in your freezer?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" He goes, all the cows have gone to butcher, and I need my freezer space, and I need to get rid of these. I'll just give them to you. So if you can come by here today, I'll give you a freezer full of beef." I said, "I'll be over there today." So I went over there and he gave me a whole freezer full of. Matter of fact, I probably still have some in our freezer from that giveaway. But man, what a gift! Yeah, it was probably 100 pounds or more. It was a whole freezer full. And for those of you who have never had the pleasure of having bones just boiling in your water for 3 days on your stove, that smell and more important, that flavor that comes from the collagen and everything that the beef broth gives you, you're missing out on truly the whole experience.
Yeah, I do it in a crock pot, but yeah, my whole house smells like that while it's going. And like I'll be
You go
sleeping.
by, and I go by like on day 2, and I just like take a spoonful and just, oh, it's getting good.
Yeah, I'll test it here and there, but usually I'll wake up in the morning and I'll still be in fasting mode and I can smell it in there boiling and I'm like, oh man, it starts making my stomach growl and I still have like 4 more hours to go.
Yeah, that intermittent fasting is, intermittent fasting, I think is one of the key to people's health. And I didn't really realize that. I mean, I used to fast just for other reasons, but since I've gone the last year and a half, or yes, last year of intermittent fasting and truly doing that, and it's caused me not to. It really has caused me just to be aware of. I was eating just out of habit, and you and I were talking. I'll share this since we're here. You and I were talking before the show, and I think I've said this on the show before, but when I used to road trip or we take family vacations, anytime we were going out of town, it was my MO, to pull off and stop at a, Chick-fil-A or a Hardee's and get a bag, or Taco Bell, and just get a bag full of food, comfort food, and drive down the highway, stop by Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee, and 4 hours down the road, stop off at another one, get another. And by the time I got to our destination for our vacation, I was feeling sluggish, and that's the way I'm starting my vacation off. Today I was driving back from our oldest son's place in North Carolina, and I stopped off because I had to go to the bathroom. And I stopped off at a Hardee's, and they got the 2 for $3 sausage and egg biscuits, the prime rib burrito, the prime rib burger, the prime rib biscuits, and all this food's just like bombarding you. And I was like, wow, I think I won't get the bread because I don't eat bread at all anymore, and I'm over that addiction for sure. I said, but I'll get 2 sausage, 2 eggs, and 2 of those prime rib things, and I'll eat them down the road, and that's all good. But then I had this aha moment, and I was like, what are you doing? You're not even hungry. You're literally just eating out of habit. That's why you got away from eating the 5 to 7. And so it really caused me to realize that habits are really, really ingrained in you. So if I'm just telling you, it's a habit that's been very hard for me to overcome. But the fact that I overcame it today just empowered me to realize that it was a habit. I didn't die. The trip was still great. And, I didn't eat till I got home till about 3:30, 4 o'clock. I had pork belly, and eggs and sausage, and I'm stuffed. I'm stuffed, and I won't eat again till tomorrow. Well, tomorrow I'll be eating because I'm picking up a bunch of friends going to Tim's River Shore and having all you can eat crabs at about 12 o'clock. So I will be eating crabs tomorrow at noon, but that's in my window, so I'm okay. But the point I'm making is, before you eat just to eat, really ask yourself that question. Am I really hungry?
Mhm.
Or am I doing it out of habit? And I think more times than not, you're going to find out that you're just doing it out of habit because it's comforting you. And that's one of the beautiful things about intermittent fasting, because you got that window to kind of deal with, to help self-govern you. And you go, you know, I don't need to. I'm not going to eat. I'm not. I'm going to hold off till my window opens up and I'm allowed to eat. Brian, you were just saying it a few seconds ago about you smell that bone broth, that beef bone broth in the house when you wake up, but you knew that you could eat it because it wasn't your time to eat yet.
Yeah. And I just go down into the basement and do my workout, and by the time I come back up, then it's time to eat. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we were discussing that before the show, that habit thing, and I was talking about back in the old touring days when we, be in a van driving across the country, and every time we pull into a gas station, I would beeline it to the Coke machine, and you know, just well, I guess they had dollar slots back then. I can't remember, but I just remember putting change in there, and and then one time we stopped, and I got out and just went straight over to the Coke machine, and I probably had a Coke at the last stop. And then I go to this next one. I go walking up to the Coke machine. I'm looking at it, and then I start thinking, I don't even feel like drinking another Coke. What am I doing? And I had that little moment of clarity. It's like, I'm not even thirsty. This is what I do when we stop, just automatically without even thinking about it. And it's the same with food too, like you're saying. And that's the coolest thing about intermittent fasting. It's a great tool when it comes to recognizing true hunger and emotional eating and all that stuff. Because I still feel it. Like sometimes when I'm in my fasting window and I have to deal with something that maybe I don't know. I don't even know what it does to me. There's certain things
There's
that
stress. There's stressors that your body goes, oh, let's get some food. We can deal with it if we have food that'll comfort us during this stressor.
yeah, there's certain things that trigger that, and I
Right.
still feel it even though I'm in the fasting mode. I can feel it, I think about the pork rinds in the closet, and I go, like, if I weren't fasting, I'd be going for those right now, even though I'm not hungry.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so the
It's great.
fasting thing stops me from doing it. So
Yeah.
it's really useful like that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So you haven't participated or started or to learn about intermittent fasting, I truly encourage you to go try it out. I mean, do some research. It's, look at the 16/8 window. Um, and if nothing else, to start, if you can't do 16/8, to start off 12/12. Do something that you can do, but when you start to want to eat, start asking yourself those questions. Are you eating because you truly are hungry, or are you eating because it's just a habit? Like, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be eating during this time.
Or are you eating because you watched all those TV commercials that told you breakfast is the most important meal of the day?
Yeah,
All the big,
Bob Evans.
yeah.
Bob Evans. Yeah, that is true. And I think I was telling this to Brian before the show, but my that's definitely been something. I'm a breakfast person. I am an early riser. I used to love breakfast, getting up and cooking bacon and sausage and scrapple and eggs, and the smell in the morning. That that truly was my mornings. I loved it. I loved the whole thing about it. And so, you know, my oldest son, who was helping move, got up early this morning and said, "Hey, we ready? You want to go grab breakfast?" And I said, "I'm not eating breakfast." "What do you mean you're not having breakfast? You always have breakfast." I'm like, No, I don't have breakfast anymore. I'll eat later on this evening, this afternoon. But again, the marketing arm bombards you. You watch any show program, I mean, outside of political ads, but right now it's just food, DoorDash, you know, Uber Eats, uh, Pizza Hut delivers, Domino's delivers. You're bombarded with food choices, and unless you get to the point where you realize that they're truly trying to get your mind, which is very easy to manipulate, and like we were just talking, all it is your mind gets wired that that's a habit, and that the reaction to the scenario that you're in is food. Let's turn to food. Let's turn to food. Let's turn to food. Food's its answer because it makes you feel good. And just turn that around and start to realize that once you have the knowing that the food that they're marketing to you is exactly like rat poison, and that it's made to want for you to want it regardless of knowing what it's going to do to you. Like a rat's going to still come eat the poison because the draw for that poison is greater than his knowledge to know that it's going to kill him. That's where we are as a society. Like we have to realize the food that they're marketing to us is the same thing as rat poison, and that by eating it, it's you're literally dying every time you give up to that urge to buy what they're marketing to you. You're slowly dying. You're putting yourself closer to death than you are to life. And
Yeah,
so,
and in that food, it's rat poison's a little quicker at killing the rat, with humans, it's drawn over 30, 40 years, but it eventually will catch up with you.
well, it's also meant to get you to go to the medical profession, and so they can give you a statin, so they can drag you along, and they go, oh yeah, it's okay, just don't eat so much of that, but you can have that. It's okay to have that as long as you here. Let's put this insulin pump on you.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it's just bad. So, one of the things that keto and a carnivore lifestyle does, it literally puts the food that can fuel your body and can boost your immune system and can keep you healthy and can help you heal yourself, which I think is the most beneficial of living this lifestyle, is that your body's able to heal itself by what you're putting in your body. And that there is a miracle that we each get a chance to partake in each and every day. And instead of taking the fats and the sugars, and I forget, oh, I think we had Chris from the magician out from Vegas, talking about there was a special formula that the food companies came up with early on, or someone came up with, and the food companies bought that, and that's why there's a certain amount of fat along with a certain amount of sugar and salt that
Oh yeah.
causes you to be an addictive response. And so they can get you hooked on that regardless of what it is.
Yeah, it's highly calculated.
It's a highly right, which goes back to what the rat poison is. So it's a highly calculated um, bait to get you to take.
Yeah.
And once you take it, you are addictive to it. And I read another study again, and I know we've said this many times, but sugar is definitely more addictive than heroin. It's an addictive substance. And, it's amazing how many people you talk to and you tell them, look, if you just gave up sugar, you're going to feel much better. They go, oh, I could never give up sugar.
Yeah.
And so,
I
but
never. I didn't think I would be able to, but
yeah, you're
but
you're
I've pretty
proof.
much gotten over it now. I can walk through. Like I was at Kroger earlier today, walking through the bakery section and looking at the different things, and I'm like, wow, this is something I would have loved when I was eating this stuff, but it doesn't even interest me now, which is
I,
it's just such a blessing to be able to do that.
I actually thought about you. We attended a wedding over the weekend, and we don't have Kroger's locally here, so there's no Kroger's where I live. But there was a Kroger in Lexington where we were at over the weekend, and walked in there. And we walked in, and they had the bakery section right to the right hand side. And I go, this is the bakery that Brian's talking about when you walk through Kroger. But
Well, well, the
go
one
ahead.
that almost got me though a couple weeks ago was the one at Publix. Theirs
Is
is a
that
little
the
like the
carrot that
Kroger.
is that the carrot cake
Yeah.
bait
Yeah, the one at Kroger, it's a bigger section and they have a lot more stuff, but it's not as
tempting?
yeah, the Publix one, it looks like more homemade kind of things. It's not like the generic like cupcakes with you know, the little plastic things with a bunch of dozen cupcakes in it. Those they all look the same. They're not nothing special about them, but at Publix, they have those little individual cake slices, and they have the carrot and the red velvet, uh, and the cookies that look like mom made them.
Oh yeah, those are. I tell you, I had a temptation. I was tempted, but I wasn't really tempted. But at the wedding rehearsal dinner, they had smoked barbecue and all this, but they had homemade banana pudding, which used to be one of my favorite dishes when it's really homemade, the vanilla wafers and the banana pudding. And the guy goes, Jim, try some of that banana pudding. I go, that's okay. They go, well, I'm going to try a little bit of it. I'm not going to be like you are. I go, that's okay. So he tried all because it's really, really good. I said, good. If you want to take another spoonful for me, have at it. And, but I felt so good that I could walk away from something that I used to be so addictive to. I mean, the problem is if I gave into that addiction, I know what would happen. If I gave in and just get one spoonful, I would find a way to go back to have another spoonful.
Yeah.
And then there it goes, the sugar synopsis firing. And then I'm going to be hungry and I'm going to want something else. I don't want something else that's good for me. I'm going to want something else that meets the sugar, fat, oil, salt, sugar formula that's going to keep me in that addictive state. So it's just so freeing to know that I could see that and literally say no and know that I'm not missing out on anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm just like that. It's like if I let myself slide, then I'll just keep sliding, you know.
yeah, that's
And I'll
what's
slide,
happened in my past.
and I'll
That's what's
slide right back into my old thing, you know.
yeah. And I don't want to do that. As a matter of fact, and I don't do this lifestyle for weight, but I'm at my lowest weight now. I haven't weighed what I weigh right now, which is 189, since I was in senior year of high school. So
How tall are you?
6'2".
Oh, wow. I'm a shrimp. I'm only 5'8", but that's about average. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm not like
But
Prince, like 4 feet tall or whatever he was.
you're no Tiny Tim. Uh,
Tiny Tim, actually, he was big.
yeah, he was tall, wasn't he? It was his
Big guy. I got to meet him once.
was his is it Matt is it what did he play? What's that? The mandolin? What did he
No,
play?
no, no, ukulele.
The ukulele. That's it. Yeah,
Tiptoes
you're
to the tulips.
yeah, tiptoe. I still remember him. I mean, I guess it was the Mike Douglas or the Merv Griffin show. I remember him coming out. My mom was a huge fan. I mean, that was the only hit that he ever made. Is that the only song that he made that was a hit?
I think. I mean, I know he had other songs, but that was the one that everybody knows. Yeah, he used to be on Johnny Carson all the time, and near at the end of his life, Howard Stern used to have him on quite often too.
Is he no longer? Is he deceased? Is he
Yeah.
no? Okay, I didn't.
In fact, he died on stage.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
like what a way to go for a musician.
No, that's perfect. I mean, you're right
Yeah.
there, center stage. I guess that was his tiptoe through his last tulip, right there on the stage. Wow, how old? Do you know how old was he?
That I don't know. Not sure.
Speaking about age, you got a birthday coming up, right?
Soon, next Thursday? Wait, or was it Wednesday? Wednesday, I think it is. Yeah,
Wow.
Wednesday. The big 63.
That's a good one. 63 is good. That,
Yeah.
wow, when you were 18 years old, did you ever think you'd be 63? I mean, when you're 18, 63, you're like, if I could just get to 63, I'd be happy. But
Yeah, and I thought I was going to be a millionaire by the time I got to my 30s, and that didn't happen either. But I remember when I was 6 years, 5, 6 years old, maybe somewhere back then in my, either kindergarten or first grade. And I remember my neighbor was 17, and I thought he was old.
it's
I was like 17.
I think our perspective when we're that age, when we're in our 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, everybody who's older than us look way older than us, and then our housing, we remember stuff that was just huge to us. I know the house that my aunt and uncle my grandparents, I always thought that house was so huge, but as I got older, I went back to it. I'm like, why did I think this house was so big when I was younger? Because it's not big at all.
Because you were little.
Yeah, it's
Well,
all
the,
for.
well, the whole thing with you know how people talk about, the older you get, the faster your life goes by, and the reason why it's like that is it's the ratio of time alive. It's like when you were only 6 years old, 1 year is 1/6 of your life. But when you're 60 years old, 1 year is 1/10, or whatever that is, 1/60th, or
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's correct.
something
One
like
sixtieth.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's right.
that's why it seems to get shorter and shorter as you get older, because you know, the time you've been here is compared to the time that you weren't here. But yeah, like when you're a kid, it seemed like summer was like a year long or something.
Yeah, this. I mean, summer seemed like, oh my gosh, And then when I remember the 3 weeks left to go to before school to go back to school, you just like dreaded it. Like those 3 weeks went by kind of fast.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. If there's something you're dreading, it'll go faster.
so I remember that those summers as a kid though. That I tell you that first day that Alice Cooper says when you no more school when you get out of school, school's out for the summer. And that there's no greater feeling as a kid when you finally got that
That
day, and then you
that
get that
first
whole
day,
summer
yeah,
in front of you. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be able to play with my friends all summer long. This is great. And then when you go, well, when I become an adult, this is how I'm going to live my life all the time. And then you realize how differently life is.
yeah. I don't even think I thought that far ahead myself.
So you thought you were going to be a millionaire before you're 30, though, right? You said that was one of your
Yep, I thought I was gonna be a big rich rock star.
You didn't know there was such thing as the music executives and the companies who take your money.
Yeah, and the management and the booking agents and the lawyers and the accountants and the road crew and
Yeah, it's almost like when you realize like when you own your own business, you think, oh man, if I would always want to own my own business because it's just so cool. Then you go, wait a minute, I got to pay this person. I'm responsible for this person. I'm responsible for this person. And you realize all this pressure that you have to work and make this money so you can pay all these different bills. And then at the end of the end of the day, you're really no better off than if I was just working at McDonald's flipping burgers, because that's what's left over at the end of the day. But
yeah, yeah.
but there's freedom in exploring and doing. And so
Can you hear the guitar?
is he jamming out there?
Can you hear it?
Faintly. Is
Oh,
he
okay.
outside? Is he outside?
No, he's back in his bedroom, but it's on the other side of that wall right there.
Oh, I hear it now for sure. So yeah, that's funny. We'll have to have him on as a guest next week. We'll sit there and quiz him on what his favorite meals are. Uh,
He's
do
been
you?
getting into it. I mean, I always cook one big one in the when I eat. Now I just make two of them, and that's what he eats, and he loves it. Um, but of course, we go to the store and he gets his stuff that he eats too, and so he gets up early. I don't get up till maybe 9ish, sometimes between 8 and 9, and he'll get up early, and he'll be out here like 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, cooking eggs and stuff.
That's me. That's the old Jim. That's what I would be doing. 7 o'clock, I'd be cooking eggs and bacon and sausage and all that. So
Yeah, sometimes that'll wake me up, the smell, but it was weird. I smell it, but it doesn't really make me hungry because I'm never hungry yet.
well, see, that's really good growth because when you can smell it and go, oh, that's really good, but go, you know what? I'm not even hungry, and it doesn't phase you. You've got away from food being your master, and now you're the master of the food, which is a great place to finally get to. It doesn't happen overnight for you guys who are going, I just don't have that much willpower. You will get there, trust me. I'm like a roller coaster and a yo-yo most of my life, and I don't know, Brian and I was talking about this earlier or before the show, but I went up and down the roller coaster over the last 20 years where I'd get down to a healthy weight, and then I'd start bringing in those bad habits, and those bad habits start to accumulate. And next thing you know, I'm back close to 300 pounds and not feeling good, feeling sluggish, having aches and pains that I shouldn't be having. And then you just get serious again. But it's more mental in regards to overcoming those that addictive behavior.
Yeah,
And
well, it's a combination of things because the longer I eat like this, you don't get hungry. So you're not really hungry. So if those things aren't triggered, after a while you realize they're not there anymore. And it's almost like the same with when I'm working out. The more that I work out and the harder that I work out, the the more motivation I have because I see the results. And it's the same with this eating like this. Um, the results kind of keep me motivated, and it makes me think. Why would I want to do? Would I want to go back and eat a big container of cookies? Ronnie bought some cookies. Ronnie found these really good cookies though at
how do you know they
Kroger
were good?
because they look good. And but it's funny because he feels bad having them around, and I go, oh, don't worry, they're your cookies. They're not going to bother me, and they haven't. But
But here, put this lock on the door. You keep the key.
no, he keeps them on the counter over here. But uh, he'll just eat them like when I'm not around because he doesn't want to like eat them in front of
Tempt
me.
you.
But it's almost like, well, I'd rather you eat it in front of me so I can sort of enjoy them through you. I like doing that.
You're my designated eater, Ronnie.
Yeah, I like to watch other people eat this stuff. Like I do that with my niece. Like she'll eat a piece of cake and I'll just watch her and I'll go, "Oh, is that good?"
Yeah, it doesn't bother me anymore because everything I look at, I just look at it as what it is. For me, I just look at it as poison, and it's not going to get me to where I want to be. So I just go, "Yep, it looks great. I'm glad you're enjoying it, but I'm
Yeah.
not tempted by it."
Well,
Now,
the other night, I told you I made some pulled pork earlier this week, and I had some of that Primal Kitchen barbecue sauce, which is unsweetened,
hmm
but I customized it a little bit. I put some of that Swerve brown sugar sugar substitute in it,
right?
and a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and made it my own little thing. And I poured some like the first night I made the pulled pork. I poured some of that barbecue sauce on it, and man, I paid for that. It's weird. I keep forgetting.
Is it the
I don't know.
swerve is it the swerve that?
I don't know if it's the swerve or maybe the tomatoes in the barbecue sauce, the tomato sauce, because for one thing, 8 hours. I didn't go to. Well, it was about seven and a half. It was between 7.5 and 8 hours later when I went to bed. I was still. I felt like I just ate. I was just stuffed, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up. I don't know, sometime in the early morning. It was still dark, and it was one of those things where I kind of burped up some of that stomach acid, and it got all the way up into my throat. It was like, and that doesn't ever happen to me hardly, except certain things will do that to me, and I think
Right.
it's the tomatoes. I think I don't know. Maybe
They're pretty
I'm
acidic.
mistaken.
They're pretty acidic, so they do cause that. They can cause
Yes,
that reaction.
because I thought when I was putting that on my plate, I thought, well, maybe I should put this on the side and just dip it in there and eat it. But I poured it on top, so I know not to do that now.
Talking about habits and breaking those habits, I can remember when I used to eat the five, graze through the day. I was never hungry when I was eating, but I kept going, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to eat, keep your energy level up and all that. So I literally grazed my way through the day. But to be honest, there was something in me, even during my days of it's just eating whatever I wanted to, inside of me is like, are you really hungry? And so there was something inside of me that was deep down going, why are we eating? But my mind and my addiction just, kept on doing it. I remember going, man, I feel like I'm going to explode because I kept eating and eating and eating. And you go to bed on a full stomach, you're just like, oh my gosh, like I can't even roll over because I feel like I can't do it.
Yeah.
But
Well, certain foods will do that. Like back when I used to eat pizza, there was this place in Gettysburg. Tommy's
That's
Pizza.
that's my food.
And that pizza is so good. It doesn't matter if you're full because it must have sugar in it.
Oh, sure.
So it's like you can be completely full. Well, I can, and just keep eating it, and just keep
Yes.
eating it, and just
Well,
keep eating it.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. I remember one time I ate pizza for 35 days in a row. 35 days in a row. I would there's a Brothers Pizza in Woodbridge and Joe's Pizza. Joe's has hippie rolls, and they were absolutely that's kryptonite for me. The hippie rolls. Have you ever had a hippie roll, Brian? It's sausage with green peppers and onions rolled up in this special dough they make, and they call them hippie rolls. I had them in high school. They still have them today. The only place I know where you can get them is at Joe's in Woodbridge. And then Brothers, which is run by Joe, used to have two extra large New York style pizzas for $20. And I remember my friend Deere and I, we were roommates. We would get one of those $20 specials every night and just watch TV or watch and eat a pizza. And you're full, but you're like, oh my gosh, that's so good. I just got to have that flavor one more time. And you would devour that whole pizza in one sitting. It's just like it. But I look back at that, I'm like, man, I was such a slave to that food, to that addiction, to that craving. And it does nothing to help you. It does nothing but slowly starts to kill you. And so, it's so freeing to know that I mean, for me, I'm just sharing this with everybody. It's so freeing to know that I'm no longer that addict, that I'm now an addict for health and not an addict for comfort food. When the majority of my life, I was an addict for comfort food.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, it's that time to wrap up another episode. So we thank you especially I thank you tonight for joining in and watching us, especially since I've been so scattered all over the place. So I do apologize for that. But Brian, you got any parting words or wisdom for anyone out there?
Well, eat lots of meat and avoid sugar.
Yeah, I posted. I don't know. Yeah, did you see? My son's got a McCall, so I had the McCall on my shoulder.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, so I said, I'll be post this picture. So I said, sugars for the birds, keto rocks. So, but that McCall he's had for 17 years. Those McCalls live to be like 100 years old. So
Yeah, I heard that.
it's literally it's unbelievable that they live that long. So I need to really find out what the bird really eats, because he lives to be 100. That's a pretty good diet.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys stay well, stay safe, stay out of the hospital, and we will see you next Friday with another episode of Keto Rocks. We love you guys.